In your life, as an entrepreneur, you hope that one time that you can build a company and sell it. As those of you who took my class know, I did that once. And once I was done, I was done. I was so happy to be done that I didn't want to think about it again. But that's my generation. Derek's like half my age, and when he was young, very young, he took his first company, built it, and sold it, and he didn't quit. He kept going. So he's done a second one, and he's now working on either the third or fourth, which he'll tell us about. So anyway, Derek is a friend from Provo. He's actually here. He didn't come over to speak to you guys. He came over to attend a wedding, a family wedding, and I happened to run into him literally when I was running on Tuesday morning. And I said, well, you should come speak to our lecture series on Thursday. And so he was good enough to change his schedule and come over here and talk to you guys. So I would like to, with great pleasure, introduce Derek Miner.
Okay, the first thing I've always wanted to do this. Aloha. Aloha. That's like my favorite thing ever. So I can just real quick, can you guys hear me okay if I just come down here? Because I have a real hard time being like right here. Yeah. We'll talk. I don't know, it's like kind of church a little bit. It's good. I love that. I'm excited to be here. So my first experience in BYU Hawaii was when I was 18 years old, and me and 3 of my friends came over and for our senior trip. And we had a ride, and I have absolutely loved the island ever since. It is magical. I love being back here. In fact, I like it so much that my wife and I came back for our honeymoon and spent time here, and then went to Hawaii. And then a few years ago, I brought my entire family over here. And 18 months ago, anyway, I love Hawaii. My wife's like, there are so many other places to travel than Hawaii, but I'm like, no, I love it. It's so awesome. Right? Here's, as any good marketer would do, and the acoustics are extraordinary here. It's fantastic. I want to know what's on your minds. You know, so many people come and say, hey, I've got this cool thing. Yeah, I've got a fun, frivolous presentation we'll walk through. Hopefully you'll walk through a few things that will be meaningful. But what's on your mind? I want to start with questions kind of right now. What do you want to know? Greg, share a little bit of background. I've had the fortune of starting and selling a few companies, which is amazing. What's on your minds? Yeah?
How was the experience the first time you sold, built up your own company and sold it? How old were you?
How old was I? When I was part of the first startup to acquisition.
Yeah,
when I first started there, I was 25, 25 years old. That was the first one. Maybe I can just start there and talk a little bit about that experience. Is that all right? Yeah. So the company was called aha.com. How would you spell that? I don't know. There's like 1,700 different ways to spell aha. It was ah-aj.com. Right? So you can imagine the conversations. Hey, this is Derek from aha.com. Hotdog.com? No, aha. Let me spell it for you. ah-aj.com. That happened literally 7 or 8 times a day as I was on the phone doing this. We were one of the first. What did aha do? We were one of the first pay-per-click search engines. So if you go to Google, you see the AdWords over on the right-hand side. We were one of the first to do that within search. And so you pay every time someone clicked. And that was a pretty amazing thing. So I just started there in March. This was March of 2000. And I was super excited about this because this whole internet thing was pretty amazing, right? Oh, there's going to be some really cool things that happen. And 45 days later, after I closed a couple really big deals for our company, we all get together like a family. We call it the family room. We all got together in this big room, and the CEO stands up and said, hey, our investors just pulled out. We're out of money. Rad. That's not good, right? So I look over, I'm like, okay, what are we going to do? But I was thinking immediately about the customer that I just hung up the phone with, that I just closed one of the largest distribution deals at our company. I'm like, what am I going to tell him? And how am I going to tell him this? Hey, you know those commitments that I just made? Sorry about it, right? That's probably what would happen. Well, we went home, and we were all pretty dejected, as you can imagine. And I'm like, well, I'm going to go back and get my stuff, and I got to figure out a game plan on how I'm going to tell this customer, this large partner that we just signed, that, hey, sorry, this is not going to work. And as I went back to the office, I showed up, and there were 5 or 6 other people over there. I'm like, what are you guys doing here? They're like, what are you doing here? Like, I explained the situation. We all worked for free for almost 3 months because we believed in this so much. Fast forward 18 months, we grew all the way up 25% a month over month. That was 2000. We were acquired in 2003 by a Seattle-based company. We were the basis for the public offering in 2004. That was an extraordinary experience. We were acquired literally like 2 months after that. I graduated from college. I could spend the entire hour just talking about this experience, because I was telling Craig, actually, our very last management meeting as an executive team, we're sitting around this table, and our CEO, one of the most extraordinary CEOs I've ever worked with, he said, all you young guys around the table, he said, I feel like I've done you a little bit of a disservice. Because he said, you'll spend the rest of your lives trying to recreate what we have here. So appreciate it. And so I guess with that, I'll just jump right into this. This is the thing. Where you guys are and what you have right now is extraordinary. My intent today is to inspire and to hopefully give you 2 or 3 things that you can go away and say, you know what, I can make a difference, because guess what, you can. This is an extraordinary opportunity right now with everything that we have. So we did just that. We went and tried to recreate another business. And myself and the founder of aha.com and one other guy said, hey, there's a huge opportunity in this marketplace. And no one's really addressing it. It was helping small and local businesses get online, right? Because Yellow Pages, you've seen those big, huge books. They brought them to our door actually a couple of weeks ago. And my son comes in, he's like, what's this? And I'm like, that's a book that they put a whole bunch of people's phone numbers in so you can go. He's like, why don't they just go on the internet? So that's what we were helping businesses do in 2006. We grew pretty fast, had an extraordinary time. And the name of the company was called Orange Soda. People were like, Darren, where did the name Orange Soda come from? Well, if you remember the story early on about aha.com, we did not want to have a hyphen or a dash in our URL this time. We hoped we'd learn something about this. So we were exchanging emails, and my business partner said, hey, I just found the domain, orangesoda.com. It's available. Should I buy it? I'm like, that is awesome. I said, you know how much fun that's going to be to build a brand around? And it's going to be impossible to misspell. And it's a heck of a lot of fun when we ranked above Fanta and Sunkist in the search results. Right? You type in Orange Soda, that was a lot of fun. So I think the best place to start, right, as we always do, is with definitions. See if this will work here. Right, the definition of entrepreneur. The founding principles of America are based on entrepreneurship, the principles of entrepreneurship. Why? Because they were seeking something better, something they could make an impact and a difference in and about, changing their circumstances, challenging the status quo. I love that. Anyway, this is my favorite part about this. Wikipedia is the best thing ever, right? Anyone can say anything about any subject, so you know you're getting the best possible information. See, if you want one of the, I think, the truest definitions of entrepreneurship, you turn to this. Section 58. I just happened to line that up, and it actually kind of worked. Very next statement should be anxious to engage in a good cause and do many things of their own free will and bring to pass much righteousness. This is the key, for the power is in them. The power is in each of you. The ability to direct our own lives and make a difference and change really is up to us. And I'm going to dig into this a little bit more. This is why I love entrepreneurship. Why? So I got to tell you just this really quick story. I live next to a couple of doctors. And I've been working this summer. We're launching a company in about a few weeks. So it's a lot of fun. I've been building the whole brand strategy and everything out over the last while. So I've been in the trenches, and there's a couple of times too where you're just like, what are we doing? This is crazy. Why am I doing this again for the 3rd or 4th time? But it reminds me, have you guys ever been to Disneyland? There's a ride in California Adventures called California Streaming. Yeah. Let me describe entrepreneurship. It's like California Streaming. Okay? I have my 11-year-old son. And he's like, Dad, let's go on that ride. So I'm like, okay, let's go over there. And we stand right where they get ready to get started. right? And that's where they have the cameras too, because you're going from 0 to 60 in like half a second and your faces are just plastered against the back. Whoa, right? So I'm sitting here describing this whole experience, trying to tell my son what this ride is going to be like. And yes, it looks really cool and really fun, but you see those loops, that's going to be pretty crazy. And you see this when you come down and compress, that's going to be pretty intense, right? And so the whole time we're waiting in line to get to go on this ride. And I'm like, are you okay, bud? And the closer we get to launching, right, he starts freaking out. And I'm like, this is just like starting a business. So we sit down and I'm right by and I'm like, okay, here's my business partner, right? Like, are you okay, bud? He's like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't do this, Dad. Kind of nervous, I don't know, and then all of a sudden it's like, we're committed, we got to do this. And we're sitting there, I remember the countdown, I remember looking over at his face, and he's just like, ah! And then we blast up, and then we go around these compressing low, and he's like, ah! Are we going to even survive and live, right? And then somehow you get across the finish line, you're like, that was awesome. Let's go do it what? Let's go do it again. So I think that's probably the best way to describe it. The craziness of what I've been doing. But I love this. The idea that we can each determine where we want to go and what we want to do. We've often heard from our prophet Israel talk about, this is so cool. Decisions determine what? Destiny. So the decisions and the choices you make. You guys have probably heard some extraordinary speakers at this lecture series. I'm sure you have. But the real key is after this, what are you going to do? And what happens next? And I'm going to share one of my favorite, I'm just going to talk about it right now. I met Barbara Corcoran. You guys seen her from Shark Tank? You know she failed like 23 times in business? But it didn't stop her. And that's what I love. We are so, right now, the fear of failure is almost paralyzing. We don't even want to start. We don't even want to do it. Oh, it's a bad idea. Right? It beats us down. And what we learn at school is like, don't ever fail. But what happens? We always fail, and we learn those important lessons. Just like when I was at aha.com, we were like, hey, the company's shut down. I could have walked away and said, this isn't for me. I'm going to go find another job. Right? But I said, I made a commitment to customers, and I was going to keep those commitments. And by the way, almost a third of our revenue at aha.com came from that one deal that I signed early on. Awesome stuff. All right. But this is the best. This is my favorite definition of entrepreneurship. Read it, highlight it, study it, ponderize it. But I really like this. We all, just so we're all on common ground, we all want success. Now the biggest question is, how do you ask anyone about how would they measure success? I want to hear from you guys. What is your definition of success? Not all at once. And I understand it's Thursday and it's almost lunchtime. Help me out here. Yeah?
I don't know, like, being able to give back, like, once you're like, but being successful enough to be able to give back.
I love that. Being successful enough to be able to give back. Now, I don't know about the success part because I'm still trying to do that. But let me tell you, I was telling Greg, like, I love being here. Because I wish that I would have been in a class like this and heard crazy people say, hey, here's some recommendations, here's some ideas. Yeah, that's a great definition. The ability to give back. Where you're in a position to help other people. Yeah, you have it.
I think when there's just a point where you don't have to worry about your own needs, then you can start focusing on other people's needs. But it's also easier.
I love that. Anyone else? Yeah.
Accomplishing goals.
Accomplishing goals. Fantastic. I really like that. Saying, okay, here's where we're going to go, and we're going to go make it happen, right? That's the idea, too, maybe you guys saw some of that picture early on. That's like a Sundance with all my kids. We go literally right at the like, hey, that's where we're going to go. We're going to go ski down that mountain. We're so we're making plans ahead of time so there's no surprise. Same thing? Okay. Let me just go, you got one.
Success is not determined in the result, but in the commitment given to what you're doing.
I love that. Success is in the commitment, right? And I'm saying, yeah, I'm going to go do this, and I'm going to make it happen, right? Love that. Will you just share one more time? What's your name? Justin. Awesome. Lovely comment. Share it just one more time.
Said, when I no longer have to worry about my own needs, but I can focus on other people's needs.
So cool. I love that. I literally was just having this conversation with my business partner. His name is Matt Bowman. It's extraordinary. I said, isn't it so cool and isn't it interesting within this perspective of the gospel? Think Enos well, there's only one chapter in this, right? When he goes out to companies, which is really cool. I was actually reading this, and then we have this cool discussion about this. And he goes out, things aren't right with him when he goes out. And who's he thinking about? Himself. And then what happens after he's prayed all day? All day, and then the night is what it says. Then what happens?
Something about others.
Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? These are the principles that we're talking about. When things are right with you, and that's the beauty of, we are in a chapel setting, I guess, right? So that's the beauty of repentance. And the opportunity to say, I failed, but I can get back up. It's what you do after. Now, I wasn't even planning on going there. That's kind of fun. Hopefully this is helpful. I like this definition of success. This is good right there. A continuous journey towards the achievement of predetermined worthwhile goals which actually possible. Because I think we say this so often in life. Oh, you know what would be so much better is if I don't have to worry about school anymore. It would be so much better when I can just do this, or wouldn't it be great if? Right? Instead of doing that, just say, this is what we're going to do, we're going to make it happen. Live life with no regrets. So here's basically the framework, and hopefully you can walk away with one or two things that are like, hey, that's awesome. And I'm going to latch onto that, and I'm going to go make it happen. Because so many people will set up the framework. Here's how you start and build a successful business. And guess what, you guys? Every business is really messed up. It's true. Every business has challenges. And it's the people that come in, or the employees that come in and say, you know what, I see a huge opportunity there, I'm going to fix that. Or you go in and get great experience, and then you say, that's interesting, they're totally missing that, and then you can start a business based on that, right? There are opportunities everywhere. The problem is, I shouldn't even quote this. Well, I'm not going to quote it. It's a great quote. If you want to come up after, I'll share it with you. Just remind me of work. Looks like overalls. Just remind me of that, okay? So I want to get the right source. Here's the interesting thing. You guys ready? Make sure we're getting kind of a third of the way check through. Here's why I need this whole section. This section will work out pretty well. Let's go like this. Ready? Hands up. That reminds me a little bit, one of my favorite little villages over at the PCC, right? And it's the Target Village. Love that, right? Where you got the rhythm. Everyone was like, I can't believe you dropped that off rhythm. We all have rhythm, and we all have a beat. And I also like this, where there's a beat, you guys have separated out a little bit. I want you to be at your best. This is what I love. So there's two different things that I come up with here. So be at your best. And then here's the other thing. Here's the reason I agree with these guys. You want to know those gentlemen? Yeah. They grew up building airplanes, right? I mean, they knew exactly how to build airplanes from the beginning, right? No, they didn't. What did they start? They had a bicycle shop. Can you see that cool chain that's around there? It looks like the crank at the front of a bike. And you know what they did? They spent days and days and days and days and failed and failed and failed and failed until something finally took off. So they beat. Right? They beat their best. And isn't it interesting that once you set and establish a standard, it's meant to be beat? And when people probably said, you're trying to do what? You're trying to get that thing off the ground and flying? Yeah, absolutely. Can you imagine some of the looks they got? You guys are crazy. What? Wait. And you guys are both like crazy, like nuclear engineer dudes to get this thing off the ground? Oh no, we just don't have a bicycle shop. You can't do that. How many times have you heard that? You can't do that. And guess what they did? They did it. And now they set a new benchmark where they can beat that much better. And everyone else is trying to beat that and do better. That's the continuous progress towards a worthwhile goal. And I love. Let me share seven people. So again, rather than saying, here's exactly what you should do to start a business, we can talk tactics, but I think at the really high level, there's principles that you need to latch on to say, you know what, if I walk into my business and they say, hey, we're out of money, what am I going to do? So these are principles I want to talk about. 7 people, 7 principles that have process and ultimately purpose. I want you just to do this little test for me, will you? Next time you see someone, a business owner or whatever, say, hey, tell me what you do. Everyone loves to talk about the business, right? And what they do. And then they'll tell you, here's what we do and here's how we do it, right? They go right into the process. You know the question that I ask business owners? Why do you do it? Why? Who's it helping? Who's it blessing? What are you passionate about? And it's so interesting that so many people don't start with that purpose. But starting with if you guys have seen Simon Sinek, write that down, he's a great speaker. Talks about starting with why. As you start with why, guess what happens? The what and how becomes a lot more apparent. Okay? So I want to talk a little more about purpose. That's why I've got that down there. So, let me talk about Greg Whiteley. Probably don't know too much about it. He is a movie producer, and he launched a film at the Sundance Film Festival in Park City earlier this year. And his whole mantra is around disrupting education, right? Because a lot of times we let school get in the way of our education. It's really this lifelong learning path. You want to know the best advice I ever got from school about school? It was when I was in the mission field. And I was talking to a doctor, and he said, hey, as you get ready to go home, he says, I'm just going to give you one piece of advice. Awesome. I wasn't super studious, I'll just tell you that when I was in high school. So I was ready for some advice. And he said, if you study and learn as though you have to teach the lesson, you'll do really well in school. I've never forgotten that. So that's a new perspective for you guys while you're here at school. What an amazing opportunity within an amazing, can you imagine a more beautiful place other than Park City? I'm like half an hour from there. This is such an amazing place, you guys. What a blessing it is to be here. This time, given these circumstances, to go and be at your best, right? One of my other favorite, I don't know that I'll get to this, man, there's so many cool things. Amazon, Jeff Bezos. You don't know the founder, you've probably heard about Amazon, maybe ordered something from them, or you maybe like me waiting for a drone to deliver something to you, right? Jeff Bezos said this. He said, we look for employees, and this is one of my favorite things, where every day is day one. And what does that mean? Okay, let's think about this. We've got about 2.5 more months until the beginning of January. What does everyone do, whether they want to, whether they're really good at it, or they're kind of guilted into it? Setting what? Oh, New Year's resolutions and goals. And we set these goals, and then guess what happens? 2 weeks into it, we're like, oh my gosh, I'll start next year. Right? That happens, but as we treat every day as day one, where we wake up curious and excited and ready to learn and discover something new, that will change your entire perspective of learning and here at the university. And what a wonderful circumstance you have to be able to be here and to learn and ask questions. You know why kids are so amazing and so resilient? Like some of the best entrepreneurs I've ever seen, because they don't stop asking questions. If I could go back when we talked about those regrets, right? If I could do that or do something better, if that, I would have stayed after I would ask teacher, I would drill them. What about this? Okay, what if that happens? And then just prepare a list of questions to be curious. My whole little model is waking up curious and ready for an adventure. That's kind of fun. Anyway, so Greg, yeah, back on education. So make education a lifelong endeavor. You can check out more, go and watch his little film, it's pretty awesome. And Most Likely to Succeed is what it's called. Most Likely to Succeed film. And this is all about challenging the status quo. I love it. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this guy. Scott Harrison. Probably not, kind of behind the scenes. He worked a big corporate job in New York, wanted to change his circumstances. He's like, you know what, I'm going to go and do humanitarian. That's a noble cause, right? As we talked about earlier, being able to give back to other people. That's awesome. So he goes to Africa. As a young corporate guy, he's like, man, this is awesome. He lived the life in New York. Goes over to Africa and starts helping these kids with facial deformities. And it changes his whole life. He says, I wasn't ready for that. And he came to find out that the majority of the challenges and the problems that were affecting these kids and these families was the one source that we were relying on: water. He said, if we can somehow change water and get clean water into the hands of these people, we can have a huge impact. He's changing the world. Go ahead and take a look at what he's done. He's extraordinary. From someone that just says, you know what, I'm going to do that. And here's a few things, as I talk to Scott, here's some of the principles that I want to share with you that he's taught. He said, you know what? It's all about people. Remember, it comes back to why and what we do. It's the reason that I love being here. Hopefully I can, again, share something that you guys will be able to take and make some amazing things happen. People are everything. You can have process, you can have profits, you can have all these things. But people are everything. If you have the right team, amazing things can happen. You talk about perspective and how that changes, and just an opportunity just to take a step back. You know, I talked about taking my son to Disneyland. You know, the other thing that I've done over this summer is, he said, Dad, I want to hike. You guys see Mount Timpanogos in Fermo, in Utah? It's 11,000 feet. He said, Dad, let's hike to the top of that, because I'm always out kind of adventuring. I said, okay, bud, I said, it's a pretty steep hike. Think we can do it? He said, yeah, we can do it. Yeah, it took us almost 16 hours, round trip, 16 miles. Some serious elevation gain, plenty of gummy bears for the hike. We get up to the first saddle. That was our goal. I said, if we can make this saddle where we can first overlook down into Utah County, into the beautiful valley, I said, that will be success. That will be awesome. I said, nothing's happened, and that's still a pretty good journey. We get up there, you guys, and my son looks over at me, and he said, Dad, is that the top? I said, yeah, it is, bud. I said, it's about another hour and a half. It doesn't look like it because it's so close. He said, Dad, I want to go up there. He's like, yes, this is so cool. I'm like, bud, you sure? You sure you want to do this? And we start hiking up there, and I can't tell you, I've been up there a number of times, but to see things through his eyes and a new perspective changed the way that I look at everything. Seeing things and appreciating in a whole new light is amazing. That's the perspective of what he taught me. And then again, the purpose. Having a purpose behind what you're doing. You guys heard Gary? Gary Vee? He is, I've never met anyone with more passion than Gary. But the thing that I like about it, here's just one thing. So his whole, there's this thank you economy that he established, which is essentially this. He started a company, he received one of the largest customer orders ever. Here's the power of social media. Look at what he's done. He actually wrote a whole book about this. Customer orders, massive order. He finds this customer on social media, find out that he's a huge hockey fan. Buys him a jersey, maybe a couple $100, sends it to him. You know what this guy does? This company is so awesome! Look at it. He's blasting it out to everyone that follows him. And now you have a raving fan of what you've just done. That's the power. Customers are really interesting now because why? Everything's commoditized. And we have more options than we've ever had before. But with the thank you economy and just responding and saying thank you is so powerful. And then the last, passion. So I put passion there and I put some expletives because if you Google his name, be forewarned that he uses a number of four-letter words. So that you can tell his passion comes through. The other thing that I really like about Gary, ultimately, is his hustle. I've never seen anyone that hustles faster and harder than he does. Always doing cool stuff. I mentioned Barbara. I love taking chances, almost always makes for happy endings. Almost, I think you do it there. But she failed at 22 jobs. Taking chances, and she just took $1,000 and turned it into just a $5 billion company. She was a waitress. Hated it. Just kept trying, kept figuring out different things, kept failing until something happened. Anyone know David Nealman? Okay? Yeah. I do. Let's see. How many of you have flown in the last 6 months on an airplane? And you used a kiosk, right? With digital, with tickets. He invented that. He developed that whole process. He also started a company called Morris Air, which was in our airlines commoditized. Oh, highly. right? God doesn't matter which airline you fly, right? The reason they keep you coming back is because they give you all these reward points and perks. But he says, we're going to change this. Fundamentally, we're going to change the industry. We did. And started a little company called JetBlue. Anyone flew JetBlue? A little different experience from some of the other airlines. Let me tell you why, because it started with him. And longer story, we'll save that for another time. He ends up transitioning out of JetBlue and goes and starts Azul Airlines in Brazil. And they're over $1 billion now. They're just absolutely crushing it. And guess what David does when he gets on? That's what I love about him. This is the piece. Create a business that people adore. And here's what he means by this. He said, all your employees, and especially you, should ooze the brand. You know what he does when he gets on his airplanes? He did it too when he was at JetBlue. You know, there's no first class there, which is an interesting perspective as well. We're all equal. No one's better than anyone else. When he first walks on the plane, he sits down right, does everything. When he stands up, he puts on an apron, and he goes and he serves the people on the plane. Why? He says, because I want to get to know my customers. I love my customers. That's an incredibly powerful story. He was actually out in Park City skiing, and his daughter worked for us at Orange Soda, and we begged and pleaded, do you think he would come down and talk to us for a little bit? We spent almost 2.5 hours with David Nealman, one on probably 15 of us. And I literally was taking notes as fast as I could. These are the principles. Your ambassadors, your employees need to ooze the brand. So important. Be flawless in your execution. When someone asks you to do something, we talked about making key commitments earlier, right? Doing what you say you're going to do. Really good businesses make commitments and then actually deliver and keep those commitments. How often does that happen? I'll give you a perfect example. And by the way, I love McDonald's ice cream. I actually got one of those last night. Go to the drive-thru menu, anywhere, and look at the pictures that they're presenting. And then unwrap what they just handed you. Is that consistent? Right? The brands who get it, the consistency between the commitment that is made and delivering on that commitment is flawless. Remember I told you that businesses are messed up, every one of them. But the degree to which you focus on your customer, which really starts with your employees, treating them with respect, and so that they know, here's our sense of purpose, here's why we're doing this, changes the whole game. I love that about him. And if there's a challenge, make it right. You know the reason that David Nealman's not at JetBlue anymore? Because he made it right with a lot of customers. Almost $40 million is what it cost the company. Because he said there was a major snowstorm in the Northeast, flights were grounded. He said, we're going to refund every one of you who's flying JetBlue that had a problem with your itinerary. We're going to refund your ticket and we're going to give you a travel voucher. They came unglued. They're like, what have you done? We can't do this. Okay, I'll go start my own airline in Brazil. Which he did, and he's absolutely crushing it. I'm sure there's more to it. Wayne Rogers. I think maybe Craig and I, and probably Steve will probably know who he is. In fact, I had to look this up a little bit. So Wayne is right in the middle. If you've ever seen or heard MASH, the movie, he was Trapper John. He was a famous actor in, what was that, the 70s and 80s. And he was part of a little company called Kleinfeld Bridal. Say yes to the dress. And there now, okay. So I'm back in New York. This is at Orange Soda. And I'm back in New York at a business meeting, and I'm meeting with the executives of a company that we're working with. I send 2 of our sales reps out to go meet with this, hey, we got a few appointments. I get a frantic phone call. They're like, Derek, can you come and join us? He's like, the owners of Kleinfeld Bridal are meeting with us to talk about their marketing strategy. Okay, I'll be right over. So I excuse myself from the lunch, and I tried to run a few blocks. But the interesting thing you'll notice in New York is when you go east and west, those blocks are a really long way. You go and south and shorter. And I was clear over there, so I was just zooming. We get in there, and I walk into Kleinfeld Bridal, there are all these warnings. They're like, hey, you might be on film. I'm like, okay, I can this issue. Cool. So sweet. It's not the market for buying a wedding dress anyways, and this will be all right. And I saw a few cool t-shirts on the side. Like, those cool t-shirts, pretty cool. We go downstairs, and we meet with the owners. And we're in what's called a white label relationship, which means we don't disclose who we are and what we're doing kind of behind the scenes, because we're supporting this company. So they told me, like, hey, I know you, sales guy who's in New York. And he's like, tell me about you two. Where are you guys from? Where's your offices out? And I'm like, okay, here's a moment of decision. What do I say? But don't, oh yeah, we're in New York. We're in New York too, or do I say, what do I say? So we're actually located in Utah. All of our marketing services are supported out of Utah, supporting this company here in New York. Wait a second, Utah? Can you imagine me? I'm like, oh no, what did I do? You guys are from Utah? Yeah, we are. And you came all the way out here to meet with us? This is unbelievable. I can't believe you came all the way here to meet with us from Utah. All of a sudden I'm relieved. I hadn't taken a breath for like 5 minutes as I'm waiting for him to say, oh, okay, what's gonna happen? And anyway, long story short, it's really kind of an interesting story. At the very end of the meeting, we exchanged pleasantries, things are great. He says, come on down. I'm like, sweet, pretty t-shirt. This is great. We go down, and all of a sudden this tailor comes out and starts measuring. I'm like, what is going on, you know? And he says, does that jacket fit? I'm like, yeah, this jacket's amazing, you know? And I said, yeah, this is great quality stuff. Just trying to compliment him on his brand and what they've done. They're like, that suit is yours. What? He's like, no, this is just our payment for you coming out to meet with us in Utah. Oh, sorry, man. Changed my whole perspective on taking care of customers and creating an experience for someone, because that's what's going to change everything. So that's why I say thanks for the suit. Okay, so here's a few things I like. Yeah. Trevor John, he's one of the most successful Hollywood actors of all time. Why? Because he was wise and smart with his money. Here's a few principles that I want to share with you. I've seen a lot of businesses. I've invested in a few businesses, and I've spent time with them as they try to get the messaging right, how they're going to take it to market, who they're going to reach, how they're going to make an impact. And I really boil it down to 3 simple things. That every business, every idea, I run it through this litmus test, and 90% of the time, they're missing one of these 3. And I like to keep it simple. You notice I've shared just 3 principles from each of these people who I've met, who made an impact on my business decisions. Let me share you 3 as I boil all of them down into basically 3. And I like to keep it, again, really, really simple for me. They're 3 Ds. First one. Everyone talks about, what's your differentiator? How are you different? How are you going to address the market in a unique way that hasn't already been done before? Right, so the ability to distinguish yourself, that's what you're also doing here, by the way. Paying the price and getting an education, you're distinguishing yourself. By paying the price now, make things happen. So this is distinguished. The second one is the ability to demonstrate that. As we talked about through, I kind of woven some comments in here, the ability to make a commitment and then keep a commitment. To actually say, or actually do what you say you're going to do. That's really, really hard. And the last one is delight. As I talk about delighting customers, I'm not talking about this. Let me put this in there. Because most when you hear delight, you're thinking outside delight. But think about this, the opportunity to make an impact in someone's life. Just so small. I rarely spent time in my office. I would manage by walking around and spending time with our teams who were talking to our customers. We had an extraordinary artist on staff, and she was hand drawing a card during her lunch break for a customer who wasn't feeling well. She said, when you're sad, so are we. Hope you feel better soon. And sent her a little get well card. And she was on the phone with her and said, hey, I'm not having a very good day. I don't feel very well. What's going on? Took some time during her lunch break to write her a card. And I just caught her doing that. That's the kind of thing that very few businesses do that make a huge impact. Can I tell you, one of my favorite things is running into former employees. I'm like, how are you? What are you doing now? I'm like, oh, this is where I'm at. I'm like, one of the big companies. And, do you like it? Yeah, it's pretty good. pretty good, or do you like it? She said, you know what? She said, we missed what we did early on. She said, it was a extraordinary team. Because when you work in a team, and this is kind of the mantra, when you have high trust, you have everything. Trust is everything. Think about it. When you feel trusted, it's empowering, right? I can go and do this. Versus not feeling trusted, all of a sudden you start thinking goofy thoughts and goofy behavior starts happening too, right? So trust is critical in anything that you do in any relationship. So distinguish, demonstrate, delight. These are the three things. I want to just share a couple of highly commoditized companies who made an impact and made a difference. And they probably don't even know. But I'm highly sensitive to this kind of stuff. Because literally this is what separates good companies from extraordinary or great companies, is in the small details. So the first one, discount tire company. I'm running down the road and it's about 5:58 and I get a little warning light on my car for my tires. Isn't that cool technology to you, by the way? What do you think? So I kind of pull off the freeway. I'm like, all right, I pull in and they're just closing the doors. They're turning off the lights and I'm walking. I'm like, do you happen to have a set of tires? And they're like, hey, you know what, we're closed. We don't have these tires here, but we'll order some in the morning. They pull my car in 6 to 10 now, change the spare tire, come back at 8:30, your tires. What? What just happened? Because what's the response you're going to get 99.9% of the time? We're closed. Sorry, can't help you. Come back tomorrow. Right? Something so small. You know, put your spare tire on for you. Okay, that's pretty awesome. Oh, and come back tomorrow and we'll give you those tires. That was awesome. The other one was JetBlue, and I totally get this. This actually happened 18 months ago when I was in on the Big Island with my wife. We landed, and we get on the bus, and we're going, and this amazing lady jumps out and starts helping us put our bags. I'm like, no, I'm good, I got it, you know. She's like, no, I insist. Get him on, and then we get down, sit in the car, and she's like, aloha, and we're like, aloha. And she's like, that's not going to work. She's like, aloha! That's why I wanted to start with that. It was so much fun. She's like, okay, now that I've got your attention, I'm going to be your driver for the next minute and 45 seconds. So pay close attention as you bring this car back. And thanks so much for renting out. I'm like, wait a second. She's just the shuttle bus driver. But what do you do? I'm just the shuttle bus driver. What did she do? Every day was day one for her. She was so excited to be there and meet new people. And what an impact. So guess what? Not only did we have a great rental that time, but when we rented this time, guess where we rented from? Alamo. And they just happened to put us in a car because they've got a whole bunch of people. And we were putting our luggage in the back, and they were seeing that, man, this really isn't big. We can get like a larger car for you next to almost a bus. And they called the guy that had a regular for us. I'm like, this is extraordinary. He says, is it just because I'm in Hawaii and I love this place and I love the people that this is the spirit of aloha that they talk about? But no, this is ingrained in the principles of this business. So every time I rent here, and now probably in the future, it'll be even more. JetBlue, I talked a little bit about. Marriott, because they attract me with these cool rewards points, whatever. I stayed there, but for one night, I didn't have a room. This guy ended up squeezing me into one of the rooms, and I'm like, this is awesome. I see this little handwritten note on my bill the next morning. I take a picture of it, tweet it out to all my followers. Guess what? 3 people said, guess what? We just booked our room for next week. We weren't sure where we were going to go. Pretty interesting stuff. That's the power of social media, too. That's how you play. What do they say about timing? It's what? Everything. Okay, so now the challenge is, what are you going to do? What next and why? Because if we all had a time machine, we'd all go back, right? We got a few more days until we're Back to the Future. Anyone following that? We're kind of a crazy Back to the Future guy. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. If not, follow that, right? October 21st, 2015, that's when Marty's going for. We got the hoverboards, we got that whole program. This is so cool. We can't go back in time, you guys. We can't go back and say, you know what, I wish that I would have done that, but instead, today, say, I'm so glad that I did. And I'm going to wake up curious tomorrow, and I'm going to make a difference where I am right now. Because when things are right in our own lives, guess who we can bless? Other people. That's the power of this whole program. So, challenge to go make something happen. I love Seth. He's remarkable. So as you be at your best, these are kind of my closing questions to you, and then I want to hear from you guys. If there's any other questions that I may have missed. Where will you go? Think about it. We go in and we hear some amazing, we hear great things, and we're like, I'm going to go make a difference, I can go do this. And then you start the next step and you fail, and then you start the next one, you fail. Keep going. Ask yourself these questions. Most importantly, why would you do it? Here are a few recommended reads. Welcome to take a picture of that, share it, or whatever. But these are some books that really made an impact. Endurance by Alfred Lansing. Nothing to do with business. Nothing to do with business, but it's probably the most extraordinary book on leadership that I've ever read. Adventure to the South Pole. You can check that out. Thank you, Economy up there. Delivering Happiness by Zappos. If you ever get a chance, if you find yourself in Las Vegas, Nevada, go and do a tour of the Zappos company. They're crazy, extreme, and amazingly awesome. They're not a shoe company. You know what they are? Service company. That's exactly right. They're there to delight their customers, and they will go to any lengths. All right. Here's how you can get a hold of me. I'd love to hear from you. If you have, most importantly, you can be like, hey, dude, can you work on the presentation a little bit? I tend to lack a little bit of energy, if you haven't noticed. They spice it up a little bit. But again, genuinely happy to help. However, the interesting thing is, as I extend that invitation, there's very few people who ever actually respond. So feel free. Happy to help and give you a little bit of advice if it helps. I will just say this in closing, is remember the best definition of entrepreneurship is in section 58. And the best thing you can do is put your life on the so you can help and bless other people. And that means a lot of things as you build your business. But the most important thing is to take every day and make it the very best that you can. And there will be ups and downs. It will be just like that roller coaster ride that I was talking about with my son, where you sit down, you're like, this is going to be so awesome, and then all of a sudden you start going, you're like, oh, I'm not sure anymore. And then you get compressed in these lows, but guess what? It comes back up if you keep going. But there's most people, you say, how was that ride? Oh my gosh, it's the worst thing ever. How was that ride? That was so awesome, let's go again, right? It's all perspective, all the way you look at it. So go and make tomorrow awesome. Sound good? Thanks for letting me be a big part of your day. You guys are awesome. So any questions? We got no time? If not, come and hang out. You got my email. You can always ask me questions that way. Thanks again for having me. This is so awesome. What an honor to be here with all of you. Okay, that's it.